So, I realized that we kind of, talked briefly about even and the benefits of it, but I realized that we kind of need to look at the whole ecosystem because I think the even thing just represents a possible new music economy, man. From a writer perspective, I started looking and seeing what other journalists were saying. And, it seems like the even experiment is really kind of like a response, because before even, you had Empire, which is a indie label. They
Hmm.
partnered with Bandcamp, and it seemed like they were kind of getting to the point of knowing that a lot of indie artists wanted to go direct to consumer, and so they partnered with them. And I think that's interesting that you got Empire, which is looked at as like an indie backer, going with Bandcamp, and then in response, a year or two later, you have UMG partner with Even.
Hmm.
So it just gave me some thoughts as to okay, this might be a new landscape, man, where a lot of the major labels decide to say, you know what, as opposed to doing things the way we used to, which us controlling all the parts of it, we just take the things that the content creators do anyway, and we just put it as a part of our package.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
No, I
know,
agree. I agree.
and you see it now also, man. I'm trying to dig back and look at other examples, man. ASAP Rocky had something similar when he partnered with this company Built, and Built isn't really per se known for uh, what Even is and what Bandcamp is, but
Hmm.
they partnered with Built, and they did a deal where if you were part of Built, you were a member, then you had the opportunity to get your rent paid. And I think
Hmm.
that opens the door for a lot of creativity for artists to be able to think outside the box with what direct to consumer looks like.
Right. Right. Nah, I mean, that's why when we were speaking, I wanted us to get back on here and just stay with the topic, right? Because that's just great knowledge, man. What one thing that I'm seeing that we're gonna have to do as we shoot this podcast is that we're gonna have to like dive deep into what we're talking about because in your professional field you're seasoned, in my professional field I'm seasoned, so just the shallow, just the surface, hit the topic and keep moving. I think that's not going to keep our excitement. We as this week went by, I feel like we were way more productive this week in like, all right, let's break down the topic, let's get some information, let's do this, let's do that. And it was just a natural flow. So with you saying that, I don't disagree, Sam. I don't disagree with what you're saying at all. Um, my take on just the conversation that we've been having this week and uh, the perspective that you wanted me to go at it with. Um, when we got on, I was like, even dot biz. What is it? What is it? Get dot even dot biz. So, you know, one thing that I looked at was how even flowed on my phone this morning and throughout these past few days, because as an artist you want to have accessibility, you want to be able to get to a certain point to hit publish as fast as possible. Artists want to hit publish, that's what they want to do. So I looked, and the website, the mobile, it works fine. It's your typical layout. So, but the offerings are great. I'm not going to knock Even's offerings, right? I'm not going to knock that. So when we gave Even the checks or X's last week, I think I gave him 3 X's. It was due to the fact that it was just the stories I've been hearing. I was having a conversation today, and it was like, how do you get your news today? Is it do we go to 11 Alive, or do we hop on the internet and the first thing that we click on is somebody saying, hey, look what I heard today. Hey, what about look what happened today? You know what I'm saying? And then you clicking on that before you're clicking on the news, right? So um, I say all that to say um, my judgment was from word of mouth, right? Didn't really do much deep dive, didn't really do too much digging. But as I dug, and it was cool. I give it two checks out of three. I give it two. Um the reason I'm not going to give it three is because I want artists to understand that when you get on these platforms, just be aware of what you're signing yourself up for. Now I'm not saying that I'm the end all be all, or I'm the, the person that you should listen to. I'm not saying that, because you got to make your own decisions. But when I looked at what Even has to offer, I asked myself, well, why don't I just make my own website? Why don't I just be direct to consumer? Why do we always keep jumping on these platforms as independent artists, and instead of creating our own platform?
You should have been fair.